Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. On a busy Monday night, Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, Professor Tom Hayes from our studios in downtown Columbia. Recruiting coming up for you in just a little while. You know, college baseball season around the country begins on Friday. It's going to be awfully strange not to see Jerry Myers coming out of the dugout a time or two or three or four to visit the mound in a USC baseball game, but that is now the case. As you all know, Coach Myers walked away from baseball a little while back and is still working now in the USC athletics department for the first time with us since his departure. He's joining us here on Sports Talk. He's always been a regular visitor to us here on Sports Talk. We've always appreciated it. And, Coach, first of all, good to have you with us. How are things with you?
Thanks for having me, first of all. And things are going well. And, you know, it's a blessing that I'm able to stay a part of the athletic department after, you know, going through some issues. But I'm feeling very well at this point, health-wise, and just excited to kind of start with the new chapter in my life personally and for my family, but at the same time, you know, feeling a little strange at this time of year without being in the same routine that I've been in for what was close to 30 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I think it's an understatement to say we were all shocked when we got the release about your departure. And I wanted to ask you, can you share with us as much as you want to about what led to your decision to walk away from baseball?
Well, you know, it's a little bit difficult to explain in a brief conversation, but it's probably something that a lot of coaches in a lot of sports at all levels have gone through. But for me, it was something that you could probably relate to as a condition of vertigo, where you're kind of losing your equilibrium. And I'd had some bouts with it in the past and been able to cope with it, but you know, maybe it's a case of getting a little bit older or not being able to shake that and cope with it as much. And with Coach Kingston starting in his first year and some of those issues that I was having, and maybe feeling like I wouldn't be able to give him 100% of what he needed to go throughout the season. I just felt like maybe something was telling me it was time to at least hit the brakes and you know, reassess things from a personal standpoint. And you know, it was frustrating, but it's something that I've dealt with, knew what I had to do as far as moving forward. And you know, I've come to grips with it. And like I said, feeling good about health-wise and just family-wise, knowing that, you know, I didn't have a condition that was going to be something that was going to, you know, hopefully not, you know, be in a position where it's not going to perpetuate and give me issues later on.
That's great. That's great. And I like what you said there. Just hit the brakes. So, I mean, is there a chance we could see you back in a uniform somewhere at some point in time?
You know, I've always been the guy, never say never, but I'm not, you know, that's not my focus right now. You know, I had aspirations to go into administration possibly at some point in my career towards the end. I felt like maybe it'd be a few years more of coaching at least before I tried to pursue that. But I'm going to try to do the best job I can for the athletic department, kind of see where that puts me professionally and I guess from a peace of mind and everything else standpoint, and how much I miss it. I know I'm going to miss it a lot, the competitive edge of being out there every day and working with young men like I have. But, you know, at the same time, you know, I'm young enough if, you know, things go in a different direction or I feel like I want to get back into coaching, I feel like I could, but that's not my intention at this point.
Jerry, what specifically are the Gamecocks having you do now, and what, if any, do you believe, how much of, I guess, your opinion will be sought out by the Gamecock coaching staff, just anything else other than as a sounding board to kind of what might go on from the Gamecock pitching staff standpoint?
Yeah, the answer to the first part, I'm going to be working primarily in the Office of Development. So administratively, I'll be helping with fundraising and hopefully being able to utilize some of the relationships that I've had along the way, whether it's, someone that's followed us along the way that was just an acquaintance or someone that we got to know really well as a coaching staff throughout the years. And hopefully that's where, maybe I can find my niche in the administration end of it. I think maybe as we move forward too, administratively, I can assist in some other areas with not necessarily just the fundraising part, but to move into maybe being more of a liaison with some of the Letterman activities and events, along with, keeping a close relationship with some of our pro guys that making sure that they know that they're welcome back to either work out in the off season or just, be a part of things, because I know in our program, they help build what is, probably second to none over the last few, I guess, even more than that, decades of a highly competitive program. So the second part of that, I'm going to try to stay in touch best I can, but not interfere and get in the way. So I've kind of made myself, let it be known that if I can help in any way, I will. Our players, I think, know how I felt about them when I left and had to take a leave of absence. And Coach Kingston couldn't have shown me more character and been more empathetic as far as making me feel like he was most concerned with me and my health, first and foremost. And it's an exciting time, and that made it even more frustrating to not be a part of it, because I think they and I know Coach Kingston and his staff will get things going in the right direction.
Well, you said that you never say never, and obviously to get your observation skills really at its peak and working at it, you'll be in a strange place, either in the press box or in the stands at Founders Park. But so many games on television now, Coach. You're going to be a fan of the game, just watching what other pitching staffs do, as well as the one here at Carolina, just to keep your observation skills sharp?
Yeah, as far as know that you're, as a former athlete and a former coach, and playing in and competing and observing at a high level, you're not just going to be able to switch that off. So it's going to be very unusual to watch a game, whether it be a pro game or as much as I'm going to watch college baseball and not have my coaching hat on at some point in time, but at the same time too, maybe observe it from a different standpoint where, maybe I can enjoy what I'm watching and not have other implications to trying to figure things out as I'm watching a game. So it'll be different and hopefully enjoyable. The game's going to always be a big part of, the game's given me more than I've given the game throughout the years, and it's always going to be a big part of me, my family, and I guess part of my identity even as I move forward.
Yeah. How has your family adjusted to you being around? I mean, as a coach, I'm sure you were gone, 15, 18 hours a day. I guess now you get a little more home time.
Yeah. The guys in the Office of Development work extremely hard too. A lot of events and a lot of things going on. It'll be a little bit different, and there might be those times where I'm on the road less. And, I think hopefully it's something that my family thinks is positive, but I've got two girls in high school, and it's a time that is full of activity always, and they'll still be wanting to go to the games and pulling for the team just like they always have, and so will I, if not even more so, and in a different way. And hopefully we'll make that adjustment because it wasn't just my routine; it was my wife and my two girls' routine that was, I guess, turned not upside down, but turned around a little bit.
Hey, Jerry, can we hold you over for just a couple of minutes?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Talking with Jerry Myers, former pitching coach at USC. We'll get his thoughts on the Gamecocks for 2018, a little bit about their pitching and what he expects. We'll be right back.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
All right, back for a couple more minutes with former USC pitching coach Jerry Myers, now working on the administrative side, helping to raise some money and help develop things over at USC. We appreciate Coach taking a few minutes to join us tonight before we get into the college baseball season beginning on Friday. So, you've been around South Carolina for a long, long time, around a lot of great teams. And the national folks aren't giving the Gamecocks a whole lot of love. For that matter, neither are the SEC coaches. You know this team extremely well. What do you think? Are people overlooking the Gamecocks as we go into this season?
Well, the early speculation, is somewhat, I guess, you would expect it just because there's a coaching change, there's transition, there's a loss of some quality innings, some really high quality pitchers that are going on top of that. So all those things are what puts things in a state of kind of unknown, so an unproven. And that being said, those people haven't been around Mark Kingston and see how he runs practice along with the rest of his staff, and Trip Couch and Mike Current, one of the top recruiters in the country, a very good on-the-field coach, outstanding on-the-field coach as well, and Skylar Mead and Stuart Lake. Stuart Lake, a former head coach, a lot of experience. So they've worked extremely hard, and I was out there, so I know, and I was in the thick of things. And, I'm not going to make any predictions moving forward, but there's some talent there all the way around the field. There's a very talented, inexperienced and untested pitching staff, but I've seen it happen before. There's been many years where we've had two freshmen and a sophomore, maybe even just a few years ago, and it was a super regional team that was not experienced going into the season in the weekend rotation. So with the way that they work, the way that they prepare and they train, and the way Coach Kingston leads, I think they expect that they're going to be very competitive and make some headway and make some noise week in and week out. And I'm right there with them, believing that.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Kingston said over the weekend some of the roles for this team are starting to become more defined. He says Adam Hill is going to start on Friday. Cody Morris will start Saturday. And obviously Logan Chapman possibly one of the ones starting on Sunday, either him or Ridge Chapman as well, with Eddie DeMorius, the grad transfer, possibly filling the closer. What are the Gamecocks getting with those options in your mind?
Those are quality arms. Those are quality arms that are very, very capable of throwing at a high level and being more than just competitive. Once they get their taste of things and once they get a few innings and a few outings under their belt, with the exception of Adam Hill, who's had plenty, he's a great guy to lead that staff. He's been in the rotation for 2 years and has started every SEC weekend, had filled in and other times, and not just the Sunday guy, and led the rotation going into weekends before. He knows what to expect, and I think the way he prepares, the guys will follow his lead that haven't been out there much. But all the guys you just mentioned have SEC caliber arms and talent and makeup, and there's several more on top of that will follow suit right after those guys. And Eddie DeMarius is a highly competitive kid that he's well suited to be out there getting those tough outs at the end of the game.
All right, last thing, we'll let you go. Give us two secrets. I guess if you tell us, they wouldn't be secrets. But anyway, go against the grain. Everyday player, pitcher, somebody that the fans should know about who will surprise, both from the everyday lineup, offensively, defensively, and on the pitching staff. From your being out there for practice and recruiting these guys, give us two under the radar guys there.
Well, I think there's going to be some freshmen that are going to be very dynamic players that a lot of people don't know their names yet. But as far as under the radar, if they followed or went to some scrimmages, they know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to probably have to say that from a freshman position player standpoint, I can't just go with one. But Noah Campbell, Jordan Halliday, you've got some guys that are returning that their names that are playing at a high level. Cal Jacobson, the center fielder, very good outfielder, can play anywhere, dynamic offensive player. Those three guys are position player wise, some guys that might stand out, and there's more as well. Pitching wise, Logan Chapman has makeup or maturity beyond his years, missed a little time in the summer and fall coming off of his high school season, but he, along with Carmen Majinski and junior college pitcher Rich Chapman are guys that are very mature. One of them has some innings in junior college. The other two haven't pitched here yet in a real game, but there's no hesitation in saying those guys can handle things. And that's 6 guys, not 2. But I guess those are the ones that pop in my head. But there's a lot of guys that have made a lot of improvement because of the way that Coach Kingston runs things along with his staff, and I'm excited as they are, I think, going into Friday.
Well, listen, we're glad you're doing well. That's the number one thing, and you're feeling better, and it was good seeing you at the basketball game the other day. We're running into you, and we thank you for being with us tonight and all the dozens of other times you've been with us over the years, and I hope we'll do it again in a baseball, even though I know you love what you're doing now. Hopefully, maybe you'll go back to baseball some point in time. We'll have a chance to talk some more baseball with you.
That sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks for everything, and thanks for all the times you've had us on and the coverage and everything else. You guys obviously do a great job. You've been doing it for 100 years, it seems like. So, just keep it up, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you at the ballpark.
All right, take care.
Jerry Myers.
100 is a conservative estimate there.
Sometimes I feel 100.
Well, the one thing, and Jerry being a baseball guy has to have some little superstition. And you got to think that South Carolina has had their worth of the injury jinx last year, that more health is in store.
I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. They got talent. I mean, they've got some veterans returning. You mentioned all the young arms and stuff. You got some junior college guys. You got some tremendous arms. Everybody raves about Mark Kingston and his work ethic and his attention to detail, things of that matter. I think they're going to be just fine.
The thing about it is that this program has some equity, and it has a lot of built-in equity and the ability to sell things like Founders Park and the fan base being what it is. I mean, people care about this program a great deal, and you have to know that it's not going to be down for long by hook or by crook.
No, I don't think so. Don't think so. Listen, it wasn't.
It might not be. You might not get the instant gratification you want in the opening year, but you have to know that like we said before, if you hit rock bottom, you got to get and bounce your way back up.
And this team did not hit rock bottom. They just couldn't hit last year, and they lost a lot of close games, including one-run ball games. They could have gone into the ledger on the other side, but we've seen LSU drop and then poof.
If you believe Chad Holbrook, they were 1 win away from making the tournament, the NCAA tournament, maybe 2. He thought at the end of the day they came up a win. I think, didn't he say in his interview with us at the end?
I think if he thought they'd get to the finals of the SEC tournament.
But I'm talking about if you go back to the regular season.
Sure.
Picked up another midweek win here or there. That might have been enough to put him over the top. Good one in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, up on Notre Dame 26-22. And then over here, you got UConn at home, the number 1 team, playing the number 4 team. And this just tells you the imbalance in women's basketball. I mean, they're destroying everybody. They're beating Louisville by what, 22 points?
It was like 23-4.
It's just crazy. I mean,
UConn's just not fair, man. It's just not fair. But as we've said before, life isn't fair.
Who said that? Who said life isn't fair?
Who
originally said that?
But
Pro did. He was there.
But there is just.
Did Greg Sankey hear that? Did he sign off on
that?
I don't.
He probably has. But just like Justice last year when Itty Bitty hit that shot that beat UConn last year from Mississippi State.
Yes.
Yeah, I tell you, the NCAA women's tournament. I think I would just pay to be in another bracket away from UConn if it were possible. All right, coming back with recruiting and more basketball. All right, thanks again to Jerry Myers for being with us tonight on Sports Talk. We'll have that up on our website here pretty soon. In case you missed it, you can go back and check out what Jerry had to say. But good stuff from him. We wish him the best. 800-956-7266, our phone number here on Sports Talk. Let's give you the recruiting report for tonight. Recruiting waits on no one, and neither does our recruiting report.
I'm waiting. Go.
I'm waiting for an apology.
Well, I'm waiting for an apology before I do this.
You're not getting one. You're not getting one.
Defensive back JT eBay, graduate transfer from Rice, took an official to Indiana over the weekend. He's also been to Iowa State. He plans one more before making his decision. That will be USC.
Bidding on eBay.
Enjoyed his visit to Indiana, liked the people. However, this is an interesting comment. In talking about the Hoosiers, he said, quote, I realized it's a basketball school. That was like the only negative. The players said that you might not get as much recognition there playing football because it's a basketball school. But all the players like the program, the coach, and everything, end quote. As for USC, he'll take his official the weekend of March 3rd so he can take in some spring practices. He's been in regular contact with Will Muschamp, talking to him Sunday, just catching up, setting up the visit. Said he thinks he's pretty excited about him, wants him to come down, see the program, and to see if he likes it. After the visit, he'll quickly make a decision on his next stop. He will enroll at his new school in May.
Well, the thing about Rice, that's not a school that necessarily is known for its football either.
Correct.
Primarily, that's a baseball school. Okay,
he'll be blown away by South Carolina when he sees, compared to what he's been to now. He'll be blown away, and he'll see that South Carolina is losing. They lose DJ Smith back on the back end, right?
And Lamont.
Yes.
And Lamont.
And Lamont. Okay, so they lose both their safeties. Brandon Smith, 6'5", 220, Mineral, Virginia, heavily recruited defensive end, one of the top from a recruiting standpoint in the class. Offers coast to coast, including Clemson, USC. Was at Clemson in January for Junior Day. Tigers are in strong shape with him coming out of that visit. He said Clemson will be one of my top schools for sure. He said Penn State, Florida State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Georgia are also doing a really good job with him, like Sweeney and Venables, and they gave him the royal treatment on his visit there. He got to spend a lot of time with the coaches one-on-one, which is what he was looking for, and the message was clear that their interest in him is very strong. He's also a basketball player. He drew a visit from USC's Will Muschamp for a game prior to the dead period, not planning to take other visits until after the hoops season. Oklahoma offered T.L. Hanna defensive end Zach Pickens. He has a big offer list that also includes Clemson, USC, Florida State, Penn State, Georgia, Michigan, UCLA, North Carolina, LSU, Auburn, Alabama. South Aiken product, defensive back Tansy Richardson was offered by UT Martin. He is at Fort Scott Junior College in Kansas. Broome offensive lineman Dylan Threadgill signed with Presbyterian. USC and Clemson target defensive end Savion Smith of Clayton, North Carolina, visited NC State Saturday. 2020 defensive lineman Alex Huntley and defensive end Jordan Birch of Hammond visited Clemson. Punter George Georgopoulos of J.L. Mann, who's on an official visit to UMass, plans to announce a commitment tomorrow. He also has a walk-on offer at USC. Wide receiver Kevion Mullins, 6'2", 200 of Memphis, was offered by USC. Basketball, 6'11", Malcolm Wilson of Ridgeview had a busy weekend Friday, helped his team clinch a region championship Saturday, took an unofficial, very successful unofficial visit with VCU, and Sunday he landed an offer from Georgetown. Now, if you're a big guy, you get an offer from Patrick Ewing, it's got to open your eyes a little bit. He said the VCU visit was great, saw the facilities, 114 straight sellouts, liked the coaches.
Just don't expect to play anybody in your non-conference season, that's all.
He has offers from USC, Clemson, VCU, SC State, Hampton, and now Georgetown. He said Georgetown recently has been recruiting him very hard, been communicating with Coach Louis Orr, I guess it is. Coach Orr, is it Rodney? Rodney or which Orr is that at Georgetown?
It was Lewis Orr. That's the guy who used to play at Syracuse.
Right. There is an Orr. They didn't check the first name. Anyway, he was in to see his game on Friday.
It is Lewis Orr.
It is Lewis. God, you're just smartest man in the room. Happens. With the help of Google.
Happens.
Anyway, he said he told him that Patrick Ewing wanted to extend him an offer, and so he's excited about that. Clemson remains on him hard. He thinks he may return there Sunday for the Duke game. He said Coach Smith was at his game on Friday night, and he said, right now I'm not trying to pick any favorites, he said, but I do like Clemson and what they offer. They offer a great space for me to get an education and play high-level basketball. Also hearing from USC, he spoke with Chuck Martin on Saturday morning. He said they keep in touch and ask about his season. He's drawn interest from Wake Forest, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech. There you go. Recruiting for now. We'll have more for you on the website, sportstalksc.com, always on Twitter. Use the hashtag #STRecruiting.
And full disclosure, several years ago, his mom was news director here at South Carolina Radio
Absolutely.
Network. We know why Patrick Ewing likes him. Doesn't he lead the state at block shots?
I'm sure he does. He is a long, lean fellow who might still be growing. He's 6'11", might be topping 7 feet at some point in time. All right, to Brad Brownell from Clemson. The Tigers got a bit of a rest, a bit of a break, and now they're getting ready to go back on the road down to Florida State on Wednesday and see if they can extend that winning streak.
They're trying to. Brad Brownell says and concedes that while it might have been good for them to keep playing through this good stretch of play they've had, it was good to get a break.
I think sometimes when you're playing the way we've been playing and shooting the ball the way we've been shooting, you almost feel better if you're just playing games, just because there's a rhythm there and a confidence that comes with regularity of performance. And so, yeah, in some ways that part would have been nice, I think, to have a game and certainly build off what we've been doing lately is, another good crowd and fun environment on Thursday. It would be great to have another weekend home game and just kind of back that up. But, obviously there's some good in taking a day or two off and kind of recharging the batteries and as important as anything, just Marquise feeling better because he was really, fighting it against Pitt. And, I think he'll be better this week. So that's good.
Florida State lost Bacon, another really talented player in Isaac, but they don't seem to have missed a beat offensively. Do you think this will be a pretty good challenge for your defense with another potent offense in Duke?
Yeah, they play like everybody. I think we all play better at home consistently. And, like we couldn't stop them down there last year. And, that's one of the things Coach Hamilton does a great job. He plays a lot of players. So when they do lose a couple guys, there's some drop off when you lose NBA type lottery player in Jonathan Isaac. But they always have guys ready and they recruit well enough that they're always going to have talented players. And that's the case again now. They just, they really spread the floor. They attack you off the dribble, but they have some guys that can shoot threes. They shoot ball well at home. And then obviously, rebounding and length and athleticism, just all the things that you always expect with a Florida State team with Leonard Hamilton you're going to deal with. So, this team is very difficult to beat, especially at home.
You've often said you don't pay attention a lot to the rankings and stuff, but the initial tourney rankings, is that good to finally get some national recognition for what this team's accomplished?
It's funny. I had somebody else ask me that. It's not, one of the things I'm proud about our team is we've been ranked for 6 weeks now or whatever it is. Somebody said it was 6 weeks, 7 weeks. I don't know what it is, but, that's not easy to stay ranked once that happens. And so I think we've proven that, we're a good team, good program this year. Guys are doing great things. And certainly that was nice on Sunday that our name was mentioned in a good place. But that was just Sunday. There's still 3 more weeks to go and a ton of very difficult games ahead. So we just got to keep improving and, stay positive with what we're doing, be confident, and play at a high level.
That is Brad Brownell from Clemson. We'll hear from Frank Martin coming up.
Check an email. Send your comments or questions to talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk from Columbia's Main Street.
Okay, we roll along here on a Monday edition of Sports Talk from Columbia. Phil Kornblut, Will Muschamp, Professor Tom Hayes, Brian Leonard.
Will who?
Did I say Will Muschamp?
A senior moment.
No, I was just reading something.
I know I like to joke about you having Alzheimer's, but now I'm actually sure of it.
Actually, I read something in the state paper on what day was that? Sunday, in the Palmetto section. It said, as you get older, and I'm not older by any means, okay? People think I've gotten older. I have not. I haven't aged a bit since I got on this show in 1984, for those of you who are wondering, mentally or physically.
Okay, George Orwell.
All right. But they say,
what's your name again?
Those of you who do get older, okay, those of you out there who do get older, if you keep a positive attitude about your aging process, okay, it will help to fight off dementia. Studies have shown.
There's so many things I could say right now.
All right. So anyway,
there's so many things I could say right now.
Pelagic. I was reading something about Muschamp. I'm sorry. It just flowed out accidentally.
It's okay.
I want to mention that high school basketball playoffs getting underway tonight around the state. So we've got that now to follow over the next couple of weeks as we work our way towards the championship weekend at the Colonial Life Arena in Columbia in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so. Tomorrow night I'll be up in Knoxville covering the Gamecocks as they take on Tennessee. We'll see if the Gamecocks can come back, break the losing streak, get a great effort out there, make some shots, and pull off the upset.
And bring me back some reps from Calhoun.
But it will, I would say possibly, but it'll be tough after what I saw Tennessee go through the other night, get blown out by 28 points by Alabama.
Alabama's gotten healthy, though, right? Sexton's back playing.
He is.
And they're going to be a tough out, and they could find themselves right in the hunt for everything. You look at the SEC standings, why not? They're 16-9, they're 7-5. Tennessee and Florida are 8-4. Auburn is 10-2. Then you got 6-6s: Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Texas A&M.
I mean, there isn't a team outside the top 8 or 9 you want to play right now. I mean, there isn't. And even some of the teams that are in the lower fourth, even if it's South Carolina on a given night, they're a tough out. But I mean, when you're looking at the teams right now in the SEC, there are so many of them that are playing at a very, very high level that it's going to continue to extend the profile of this league further than it's ever been.
Texas A&M. I was about to say Texas A&M probably playing the best.
But they had an injury and a suspension, right?
Yeah, they had a suspension, a dismissal, and an injury. Yeah. All three for a quarter.
Key players, right?
Yes, one of their starting point guard gone.
The SEC has
8
teams in the top 50 of the RPI at this particular time, 9 in the top 60 of the RPI. So that leads the country as far as that goes. So it's a tough league. One team not playing well, of course, is South Carolina, heading to Knoxville for their game tomorrow night, coming off just an awful performance in Columbia on Saturday in that blowout loss to Maryland. And Frank Martin met with us earlier today in Columbia, as he does on Monday, and he talked about just the bad things going on with his team right now.
Right now, we're making too many mistakes. And the biggest problem we have is that all our mistakes are like one after the other. So it allows teams to go on these runs. It was happening to us earlier in the season. We kind of fixed, I don't want to say we fixed the problem. The attention to detail got a little better, which then it allowed us to stay in games because teams wouldn't go on these runs. Well, it's happened to us here again. And we're trying to figure that out again, how to navigate through that. But see, I'm more concerned with some stuff like individual ball defense. We have teams watch. It's like everyone's got one of these gadgets now. So what happens is you load up all the breakdown film on your players' gadgets, and they sit there and they watch as you get ready to play somebody. We have experienced teams in our league now. We're the young team in the league. Last year, we were the experience. Well, these kids that have been through the ropes, they're watching, and their coaches are telling them, watch this, watch this, watch this. So people attack us and attack individual players on our team, and we have to do a better job in our individual responsibility defensively of putting up a better fight. And we're not doing that right now. I'm not going to sit here and blame a guy. Do I have to coach better? Of course. But some guys have to do a better job of guarding the basketball. I'm not just pointing at point guards. It's across the board. People are coming at us and attacking us off the dribble and just saying, here, give it to him and go. And the guy on the ball is really, really not putting up a fight. And then what happens? Everyone behind them now is on their heels, so they can't be aggressive defensively. So it's creating problems for us. So that's one thing that it's very fixable, but it takes ownership. I told the guys the other day, I said, I couldn't guard anybody. But if you kept taking me off the dribble, sooner or later, you were going to take a hard one just so you thought about it twice next time. And right now we just and we don't put up a fight. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but I don't say we do this, we win, we do this, we lose, because sometimes you do this and you don't win. So you're preparing your team for failure. I'm about, if you want to win, this is how you got to do things. And if you do things like this, then you're not going to allow yourself a chance to succeed. And it's kind of the way I try to teach it.
And Martin went on to say that he still likes his team. He does not think that it needs to be torn apart and rebuilt for next year. He thinks the returning players can be good players. They only lose the two guards, the two transfer guards. Everybody else is scheduled to be back. Plus, he's got one guard committed for next year. And, of course, the two players being redshirted this year in
Bowen and Felder.
Yeah, Felder and Bowen. They would – well, Felder in particular would be a huge asset to this team this year. You give Martin credit, I think, for making the decision to go ahead and hold him out for the entire year, even though it hurts his team. He maybe could have helped this team win a few more games with quality play at the point. And he said today that they miss Felder's leadership and direction running the team, and they don't have that. And I think that's been pretty obvious. So, it's not a case where it's got to be blown up and reconstructed to be successful in a big way again next year. Also, he still believes they're an excellent shooting outside team, and he pointed out that they've got more guys making threes than they've had before, yet they're shooting under 40% as a team.
Well, the problem is not ability, it's shot selection, and it's the ability to get passes in the right spot at the right time. And it was something that he said before during that press conference, is that they will run plays and the pass is either a step late or a second late, and it doesn't necessarily come at the right time in order to run in the span of the offense. And don't underrate the amount of experience that this group is getting kind of on their own. I mean, they're like a baby still riding with training wheels right now. They're trying to ride without training wheels, so to speak. And I think so much of what they can learn this year will help them next year when they have players of a higher caliber like a Rob Felder and a Brian Bowen to kind of use as a crutch.
And the one thing about Felder is he's built like a boxer. He probably
wouldn't like that analogy now.
No, but what I'm saying, he's built like a boxer.
Let's say he's built like a preacher, big strong preacher, not a boxer. You're talking about a guy that's got a couple of things against him from
if you take that the wrong way, you take it that wrong. But what I'm trying to say is he's not afraid to take it to the basket. These guys, some of them look like they're afraid they're going to get hit. Well, this is the time when you're heading toward March that everybody gets hit when you go to the basket. You're going to take hard fouls, and you need to give hard fouls.
And you need to become less predictable on offense. It can't run as much through Chris Silva. You got to have somebody who has the kind of confidence to take a shot and make a shot.
All right, I think the Gamecocks will give a great effort tomorrow night. Might even pull that thing off.
I don't know if you're right on that one.
We shall see. That'll happen before they get an apology from the dude at Missouri, and then that will come later. Have a great night.
Is that a fact?
We'll see you tomorrow.
Is that a fact?